A good Friday afternoon to you, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, 802 Honda, all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. Big picture here, you can see kind of a west to northwesterly flow that's going over the top of a ridge, really coming out over in the north slope of Alaska. And this is why we have colder than normal temperatures and very persistent short waves that kind of work on through, and each little ripple spins up in either a more organized area of low pressure, such as this case here, where we got a little bit more snow, rain to the south with a dividing line there in terms of temperature profile. And also just a little bit of a flow, a cyclonic flow is all it takes coming off the Great Lakes. That sort of leftward flow, if you will, spins up cyclonically, causes vorticity. That's a lifting mechanism, and it produces off and on snow showers and flurries. And that's going to be continuing the case, it looks like, into next week as well. Temperature-wise, it look like this. You can see just how cold it is. This is anomalous cold as well. Temperatures below zero up here in the northern parts of the Canadian Arctic, and occasionally some of that breaks off. Some of that warms up occasionally with Chinooks coming off the Rockies. Needless to say, this is the flow. Nothing we can do about it. It's not the best, of course, but it is a situation where it's going to deliver these little off and on little bouts and bits of precip. And some of that is going to be wet snow. Sometimes it's going to coat the grass. Other times it's going to melt out real quickly. Sometimes it's going to mix with a little bit of rain. And we're living in a sort of a regime right now, typically that lengthens any kind of gradient wind gusts that might affect our eastern slopes of the Green Mountains. And that would be from a west to northwesterly blow. There's only one that I see that's really strong enough. I would call it marginally strong. And that's going to be taking place, it looks like, during next Wednesday afternoon. Long ways out, lowered confidence. Only really place on the planet that has been persistently and consistently cold, and that is, of course, North America. Much colder than normal moving through the plains. We're getting little bits and pieces of that. Every time it warms up in Alaska, it forces a little bit of that kind of east. We get a little bit of a pop. That's going to take place on Sunday, where temperatures are going to get close to 60 in the afternoon, and we're back into another colder regime. Here's the latest European, little larger view here, zoomed out for North America. What we can see is this weather system here. This is the one that's going to zip pretty much east. It's going to lay down a swath of snow. And it's really the Berkshires, the southern Green Mountains, and then all the way to Boston. Some of those areas in the Berkshires appear to get close to about 6 inches. Let's run the model and kind of give you an idea here. So we went from 2 p.m. this afternoon. Now we're at 8 p.m. This Friday evening. That's overnight. You can see where it moves in and affects mainly the southern part of Vermont very lightly. And the dividing line is roughly about Bradford, west to about Middlebury, and points south is the main area to receive any kind of snowfall from this, and relatively light in the northern areas. It moves on out fairly quickly in the morning hours. The heavier stuff, there may be some lingering flurries for a time into the early afternoon, but that's going to be not a problem, and temperatures will be warming up anyway, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But again, maybe locally 3 inches right near the Massachusetts border, a possibility. Now this is valid 8 o'clock Saturday evening. We have a little bit of stretch of nice weather. Unfortunately, the timing, this ridging, is going to be taking place, unfortunately, Saturday night. I'm not going to do a whole lot of good because our next weather system is going to move on in. The temperatures do warm up. We get a little bit of a southwesterly flow, kind of picking up some warmth and then driving it east out ahead of what will be a frontal boundary. That frontal system looks like it's going to bring in some rain shower activity fairly late in the day across northern and western parts of Vermont. That's going to take place. This is valid actually about 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then we get into Saturday night and Sunday. It's a little bit more rain showers than it is snow showers. It's mainly going to be stuff aloft, and so not a whole lot of worries there. So that kind of works on out as we get into the morning hours on through really Sunday night and into early morning on Monday. We have this weather system. This will not affect us. It's a more organized system, a little bit more subtropical in origin, picking up a little bit more Gulf of Mexico moisture. This is a system that's going to be a big severe weather outbreak. Lots and lots of thunderstorms, highly convective, and that's going to track across the south, and it'll be making a lot of news. It jumps out of the middle Atlantic coast off into the western Atlantic there, and then tracks a little bit to the south and east of us. But the way the flow is set up right now, that's going to be, we're basically owned by that colder northern branch of the jet, and not so much this guy here. So it just blows out to sea, and it's a problem there for Nova Scotia. It looks like some heavy snow for those folks. And then here comes that next weather system. This will be moving in along about 12Z on Tuesday. That's about 8 o'clock Tuesday morning. So this is into Tuesday afternoon. Again, it's going to be a mix of rain and snow. Not a big deal. The backside has a little bit of wind, and this is going to be our gradient wind issue, as a stronger blast of northwesterly winds then track out of the region. And then by the time we get later in the week, a little bit of a break in the action for a time, but not much. And then you can see a little bit more of a drive here from the west-southwest, and that's going to be more loaded for bear in terms of precip. So at least it's in the form of rain at that point in time. That's valid at about 8 o'clock on Friday. Let's take a look at the Canadian GFS ensemble. Okay, this is 3-hourly QPF from the GFS ensemble. What we can see here is a little bit of precipitation that works through basically tonight. That is associated with that southern, more southerly storm. A little break in the action, and really not a whole lot to show for it. The next bigger deal, of course, is going to be later, coming later on. Looking at the total amount of QPF, it's really below normal. We're talking, here's 5/10, that's 1 inch. And we're talking limited amounts of precip this entire period, and even beyond that period as it looks right now, until we get that west-southwesterly flow that I was showing you, something moving out of the Ohio Valley and the lower Great Lakes. That'll take place, again, late in the week next week. So kind of an easygoing regime here for our weather. And this is depicted well. This is the Weather Prediction Center. You can see 2,500s or less up here. This is the half-inch mark, 1-inch mark, basically in the southern part of Vermont, and most of the main track is the southeast United States and then off the coast. And looking at the top of Mount Mansfield, 850 hectopascal temperatures, you can see that anything below the 0-degree center line typically falls as snowflakes, wet snowflakes, sometimes goopy wet snow, cross raindrop on the valley floors, etc. And then you can see these temperatures try to make a run, warm up a little bit on Sunday. And for the most part, we're looking at conditions generally below normal. Let's take a look at the weighted temps. So almost coast to coast, we're looking at below normal temperatures, interestingly. And then 3 days later, that's the next 5 days of maximum temperatures. You can see how cold it is, minus 21 degrees. This is below normal for the daytime high. Generally warmer elsewhere, but not everywhere. 3 days later, looks like this. Some warming takes place in the west. It's trying to push out that colder regime in the north and east. Again, this is 3 to 7 days out. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.